Hi guys, my name is Meads. This is going to be a review for the Black Getter. This is actually a collaboration between Sentinel, the makers of Riobot, and T-Rex. I thought T-Rex is just a new model line, but apparently it's, I think, another company, a different design, and their collab work. And one thing I like about this is basically the Riobot, they barely have diecast parts, but this is the version where they have lots of diecast parts. So far, I think in terms of my collection, Super Robot Jugokins, they're actually you get a lot of diecast for how much you pay for it, and it's actually kind of like a budget version of the SOC or the Soul of Jugokin, which are a lot bigger. And here we go. I'm gonna change my review a little bit. I usually kind of do the impression of the the figure still inside, and kind of just explore as I open things up. I find that when I do that, I tend to forget things, and it doesn't really give my good impression because I'm really forgiving, as you can see in my reviews. But after a while, like, really, you know, and well, let's just say that this way it's more honest. Alright, so anyways, here's the box, and if you do open it, you will have Black Getter right there with all the accessories and gimmicks, but I already took them out. And a little bit of information. You got Director Yuta Tobari, okay, the Sentinel Director. You got the designer T-Rex, and a couple of other names. On the back, a good illustration. By the way, the box is matte finish, and it does tend to get kind of like scratched quite easily. So if you want to keep the box in good condition, you might have to wrap it with something else. Anyways, you got the different poses here, and actually just say "Get a Robot the Last Day." I always like this sticker right here. It says "Made in Factory." It is made in the factory, after all. Got number 2. This is the second one. I have to check which one is the first. Collab by Sentinel and T-Rex. And that's about it for the box. Alright, I'm gonna put this away. Alright, we have Black Getter here. It has a really nice matte finish, kind of like the box. And on top of that, he has other cool color scheme. You got the gray, the gold, and like silver lining there in the different panels, which we'll go through. And just overall, very amazing. Especially the eyes, you get the yellow and red. You got gold there on the head. Everywhere, it's just amazing. And a little bit of history. I do apologize, not really familiar with the Getter series. I did watch the Getter Robo Armageddon, where they have the Shin Getter. And this guy is powered by Ryoma, which kind of becomes a vigilant. And yeah, he modified I think the original Getter, and I think upon re-entry on the Earth Asmor got burnt. That's why he got black instead of the red, which is kind of cool. Gonna give you that a little bit of history behind the color. And I think the Getter cutter here, the fins is a lot bigger on the left, and he doesn't have it on the right. And you got that scarf, which actually there's a cape on the Getter wings, I think, which I will go through later on how to put on. But so far we have this amazing figure right in front of us. In terms of diecast, mostly the gold pieces are diecast. You can see the belt, the joints, and it's quite heavy. The blades here are diecast. This part here is actually plastic. The head is plastic. Maybe the main body right here feels like it's diecast. Then you got parts of the shoulder. I think that's where the Getter tomahawk comes out. I see a few of the vids. Actually, I'm basing it off the SRW game. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Let's see, with articulation, I think the first gimmick, along with other Riobot, is you can extend the joint, which gives you more articulation, and one of which is the elbow. And you see more over there. And the cool thing about this is it's quite segmented. You have a joint right there, another one, and another one inside. And it gives you this really awesome, almost 190 degrees. And each time you bend it, it gets segmented. That's really nice. And plus, this part here also opens up. If you can see that right there. Really cool. And as well as the wrist. Gives you a little bit more dynamic pose as such. It's really cool. Then you have the hip. He is kind of chubby, kind of oblong in terms of the body shape, but that doesn't hinder you from going sideways. That's pretty cool. Maybe you can do 180, I mean 360, but for the most part. And we'll just leave it at that. Not only that, you kind of see this already, you get that silver lining. You can actually pop this hip joint all the way out. You can see the joint right there. And if you press that silver part up a little bit, you can actually have him kick up. That's really great. Moving on, same thing with the leg or knee, or actually the elbow. You can open it up. There's a bend there. There's a different color, the diecast piece right there. And it actually can bend out. Another cool thing about Reebots, just the articulation on knees and elbows when they bend, more stuff comes out. It's pretty cool. Just that bend. And also on the back part here, it's actually one thing. I watched Type V3's review of this, and he did mention out. Actually, check that awesome video if you haven't yet. And this part here actually doesn't retract back, unfortunately. But I found that if you just push it up a little bit, it comes up. And maybe because when you extend it, there's a hollow part there. There's no spring, maybe. I'm not too sure, but it's just that. But I'm just gonna go ahead and it seems like when you pull it down, that thing goes down too. There we go. I think that's as much as you can. Alright. And while we're in the back, I just want to talk about this. I messed up mine, unfortunately. Turns out there might be an easier way, but I don't know. There seems to be two flap on both sides where you can take out with your nails. And since I already got it loose, I don't know, maybe I'm still having issues with this, but that's how you take it out. And I kind of damaged it a little bit. I was using a screwdriver, probably not the best idea, but there's a little bit of peg on top of there. It's kind of like a U shape, and this is for the connection on the base, which I have here, and it just connects like so, which will be useful later on. But I don't know, I had problems putting it on before. Something tells me it's, I don't know. If that happens to you, I think the best way, well, when we get the Getter 1 next time around, the white and red, I think the best way is, if you have to use a screwdriver or something, kind of nudge it from this side and on the other side, then keep going back and forth till you get it out. I think that's the best way. Otherwise, while we're here, later on, once we have the cape, it's kind of hard. We take this out, and this is kind of like a weapon storage. There we go. Pop it out. So there's a connector part there. I'm not gonna do this because it takes a little while, and I just kind of want to continue on with the review. But you get our tomahawk here, and actually have one holding. But basically, you can have it so it's like so, connected like this, and you do have these gold connectors, which you kind of just peg together. One here, kind of get the idea. And the middle part, you just peg over there. It's like a storage area for the Getter tomahawks. Alright, so that's that part. That's a really cool gimmick. And moving in front again, here you can actually move up the flaps on the chest piece. Kind of gives you that gold piece inside. Really cool. Same thing on the back. And actually, a bit later on, I'm gonna show this again, but there's actually the middle piece here, not this one, this guy right here, which actually when you pressed, it pops out for the getter beam. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm not sure, a little bit. There's that small part there that gets pushed out. And there's a little peg on the bottom, so you can just put it back, kind of reorient it itself. And there we go. So that's another nice gimmick. Moving down, I forgot to talk about the feet. You get a little bit of heel movement. So some dynamic poses, which is nice. And also the feet you can move up. So this is a diecast, but apparently it's a little different. And I think, well, I did it this way so I can move all the way out. Because if you do it while it's on this position, you're gonna hit the kind of like the gray part. But yeah, it's kind of hollow, but at this angle right here, you barely see it, and it's kind of nice to see a little bit of gold, kind of like a joint. But yeah, I mean, it's not really bad, and I don't mind having that. You know, I mean, from this side you can see it's hollow, but it does its job. Right, I'm gonna put it back, and again, put it aside, and there we go. I did find my knee is a little loose here, or actually maybe on this side here. I'm not too sure why, maybe just the way it's... So I have a little bit of problem making him stand. But yeah, there we go. It works. So let me pull this out too. There we go. Another thing I want to point out, the gray part here on the shoulder, it does kind of scratch up the surface here on the black part. You can wipe it off with a cotton swab or a little bit of water, but it does scratch it off. So just a little bit of heads up. Alright, so why don't we put the cape? Here we have the cape here. It's really nice. Actually it has a little bit of there's wires inside them, so you can actually flex them the way, or whichever way you want. Kind of gives you a little bit of freedom to pose the cape on its own, and it's really nice. You get the white, or sorry, not white, red and black, like textured fabric. There we go. And it's kind of tattered in the bottom, which is cool. A little bit of bullet holes here and there. Really nice, actually. And yeah, so basically there's a little bit of notch there, and do be careful because eventually you might rip it up. And you can see here there's, you know, it gets a little bit of pieces of the thread does fall off, so be careful, and you don't want to tug it once it's in there. To do so, let's behead getter, black getter, and pop it out. You get the gold peg right there. You take this out, kind of push it forward. There's a peg in front, holds it in place. You get the neck part. Actually, before we get there, it's actually a cool gimmick because I think this part here in the front of the neck, it's spring loaded, and I think when he's looking down, it kind of gives you that little bit of freedom, which is nice. Take this out. Be careful because you get a ball joint peg there, and basically we put this on to the neck first. Pop it in like so, and you put it on. And hopefully it stays there. Hold on. Alright, there we go. Nice pop. And we put this on. I think it helps if you move the neck a little bit further back. put this on, and I think move the neck a little bit forward so we can pop this in. And before we get there, let's take a closer look at the head. Alright, so again, you get that really nice yellow eyes with a red, actually just a red outline. Very menacing. Got the kind of dark green jewel on the forehead. Got the green on the side. Really nice matte finish. And you do have this rigid, like underside of the horn or ear. And you get like a gold on the side. You got this mask in front of him. Really nice. So I want to point out, once you put it on, it really limits them. Actually, it just pop off. It does hinder the mobility of the neck, and for some weird reason, it just pops off quite easily. There we go. Maybe hunch it a little back, but not much movement there, as you can see. Yeah, but it's there. And even though this is a different black, it kind of matches with the scarf started and towards the back, so not too bad. Alright, so that's it for the cape. Again, you can have dynamic poses, as you can see here. Have him flying or something. It's really cool. Alright, so let's add some weapons, or actually let's go to the weapons and hands. I didn't realize I don't have the brass knuckles. So this is the part where you connect, and they're actually marked inside. One is left, one is right, and I think it's just because it's angled a little bit. And you can just put it on like so. Otherwise, with the same knuckles or same hands, you can actually attach the longer version. And I'm just gonna do one for the right. Take it out, put it on. Cool gimmick. Otherwise, other pairs of hands, you get this one for dynamic poses, or he's kind of pointing or reaching. You get this too for, I would assume it's for the weapons, like if you have a gun. This set doesn't come with a hand. I think maybe the Getter one, the normal one, might have it on the next release. I need to check it again, but that's for that. But this one, you just get a Getter tomahawks, which I have right here. And to put this on, which actually, yeah. Hold on. Alright, so there's this part here that which just take out, and it's a circular peg. But actually, let me put this on. And I thought it's gonna damage the matte finish on the handle. Actually, it doesn't, which is great. You also have this chain here with the connector on both ends, so you can connect the two tomahawks together, and kind of like a moving sickle. You maybe have this connect this to the action base and have it move, swinging while it's holding the other one. So that's a cool gimmick, but not too fond of chains. I'll put it aside, put this back on, and oops, there we go. Swap out the hands. One thing I like about Reeboks, straight pegs. I like straight pegs on the wrist with the ball joint. Mainly because the ball joint wrists, they tend to break. That's I have experienced before. So straight pegs, I liked. And hoping the Figmas, I've been hearing that the new Figmas have a ball joint, or has the ball joint wrist. I actually prefer the straight peg, which they always have been. Well, we'll see. Alright, so I'm putting two tomahawks. I think it's his signature weapon. Getter tomahawks, and they're kind of like a club also. Don't you wish it's just bigger? Well, I think the Shin Getter has a big pole axe. So there we go. Really nice, very menacing. And I really love this figure. Just amazing. Other than that, let's see. I think I already talked about that action base. So this comes with your usual Sentinel action base, which has this connector here. Again, you can remove this, put this on. I actually have tried it. You just really have to really tighten the pegs here. Sorry, the screws to make it stiff enough for it to stand. Otherwise, there's parts here that you can store this away if you don't need them. That's really cool, or swap it out. But actually, why don't we try that? Just for demonstration, I'm gonna go ahead and put Black Getter over on the stand. Alright, I have it on the stand, and it's actually, I'm gonna go wiggle him, kind of give a test. So it does stay quite nicely, but again, it's heavy, and sometimes you never know how much you're gonna nudge the table or the desk or the shelf where you have it, where there's a huge earthquake. Hopefully not. So I think it's probably best to have him planted on or over here, and just have it kind of like a support so he doesn't topple over. Again, this has diecast, it's a lot heavy, and when it drops, more things could break, and maybe even paint chipping, so just a precaution. Alright, there we go. Get Black Getter. And I just want to demonstrate the Getter Beam. This this set for the Black Getter Sentinel doesn't have any effect parts, only awesome gimmicks and his dual tomahawks, and that's about it. So if you want to reenact the Getter Beam with the effect parts, you may have to find or try to find from your other collection. Luckily enough for me, I do collect MonsterArts. In particular, if you have what was the Fire Rodan, that particular one has the pink effect part that you need for this. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the cannon right there. I think I'm pressing the right one. It's not working right now. Why? There we go. It pops somewhere. But actually, another thing to be careful of. You want to make sure you can locate that back later on. And the effect part. There we go. Get up, beam. And you always want to try to actually take a photo like so, where you're covering the action base of this guy, like what I'm doing right now. So it seems like it's flying, and I think that's a cool pose right there. Seems like it's, you know, this thing is floating. Get up, beam! And that's another thing I like about the old shows, and I think they still do it till today, that they always shout out the name of the attack. You know, like the Getter Beam, Getter Tomahawk, and especially in Gao Gaigar, every time he does his transformation, he calls upon the Gaulian and all his attacks. The Goldian Hammer. There's always this amazing way of shouting it, and it kind of embeds on you, like the watchers or the viewers, the name. And on top of that, it makes everything just epic. And I think it's also the same thing with Gurren Lagann, Giga Drill Breaker. And well, they always have a way of saying it. I'm not saying, you know, epic enough like the way they did, but that's always the case, and I like it. I like it when they shout out the attack name. Kind of makes you remember what they are, and makes it iconic in some sense. Alright, enough of that spiel. I'm gonna get back to the review. And just leads us to basically my opinion about this. First off, it's an amazing figure made by Sentinel and T-Rex. The second is, unfortunately, it comes with a hefty price tag of pretty much, I think by now, over $100. You know, with the shipping and everything. It is very expensive. I think mainly because they don't really mass produce this as the other lines, like the Chigokins, Super Robot Chigokins. I think that's mainly that. Plus, there's a lot of engineering that went through this. The joints, the details. different paint apps, even this really nice clothing. I think that alone kind of warrants it. And to be honest, I am not regretting buying this. I'm a big fan of Sentinel. I do support them. And if they ever make a cool robot that I know, I will buy it. They do make other robots like the Blodia, I think. I think that's the robot of Jin from the Marvel vs. Capcom game. I think that's what it is, huh? But it's an old Nintendo game, I believe, or a game from old system. I'm not too familiar with it, and those are kind of expensive. Actually, some of their made by Sentinel is like over $200. Those I'm not gonna get, but this one's a little over 100. I might get them. And yeah, it's definitely great. Can't wait for the Getter one coming out, I think next, and maybe the other Getter robots. The dragons. And I actually like those. Would like to see Getter 2 and Getter 3 with the one with the lance and the one with the tank. Oh, that'll be interesting. But yeah, again, a really great figure. Lots of diecasts, and if you have the extra budget, I would highly recommend it. If not, there are other great alternatives. So that's pretty much it for my review. Hope you guys like it. Again, check out Type V3's awesome review of this. He probably can give you a little bit more information. Again, I do apologize not getting too much of the history behind Black Getter. I wish I know much, but it's just that I'm watching other animes, and it's kind of hard to watch the old ones. But I mean, those are the classics. Maybe at that time. That's about it. Yeah, so if you have any questions, suggestions, or any comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next review. So until then, this is Meads. Thank you for watching.